from nights, feel the fire ignite. Titan blue, yeah, we ready for the fighting. In the heart of the game, yeah, we stand up tall. Hear the crowd in these sign when the Titans call. New era now, yeah, the league gon' learn with the Titan blue. Watch the whole world turn. Big Jeff in the trenches, yeah, he bring that pain. Quarterbacks running when they hear his name. Cam Ward on the center, yeah, the future's here. Let it fly downfield, we ain't playing scared. Through the hits and the grind, yeah, we pay that road. Every yard, every inch, yeah, we bear that load. When the pressure hits, yeah, we never break. This a new Titans wave, time to dominate. Titans rising, hear the call. Nashville roaring, we stand tall with every heartbeat. Feel the flame, remember the name. Remember the name. Titans rising, blue on blue, built for war. Yeah, we coming through in the light of victory. Hear the screams. We the squad chasing dynasty dreams. The sidelines, feel the energy surge. Every snap, every hit, yeah, we ready to merge. Defense locked in, yeah, we setting the tone. Ain't nobody safe when we in our zone. Big Jeff crashing, breaking through the line, setting that standard every single time. Cam Ward leading, yeah, he calm and cold. Writing new chapters, watch the story unfold. Through the sweat and the tears, yeah, we earned our way. Every battle we face got us here today. No fear in our chest, yeah, we built to last. Future coming fast, ain't stuck in the past. Titans rising, hear the call. Nashville roaring, we stand tall with every heartbeat. Feel the flame, remember the name. Remember the name. Titans rising, blue on blue, built for war. Yeah, we coming through in the light of victory. Hear the screams. We the squad chasing dynasty dreams. In the huddle, yeah, we speak that truth. All gas, no brakes, that Titan you. From the bottom to the top, yeah, we made that climb. Now it's our house, this our time. Finals rising, hear the call. Nashville roaring, we stand tall with every heartbeat. Feel the flame. Titans rising, blue on blue. Whole league know what we gotta do when that whistle blows. Hear the scream, tighten up, chasing Super Bowl dreams.
Talking Titans football all day long. Breaking down the plays, yeah, we're bringing the heat. Titan blue running deep in the street. From the draft board talk to the Sunday night lights. If it's Titans football, yeah, we got the inside. What's shaking Titans? Let's go! Nashville out, feel the fire ignite. What's shaking Titans? Game day talk every night. Blue flames rising, yeah, the vibe's electric. Titan fans stand up, let's get it! This is what's shaking Titans.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to What's Shaking Titans. I am your host of today's show, Gary Bailey. And then, guys, joining me right over here, you got the one, the only, Lee Hillis. What's up, Lee the man Hillis? How's it going today, brother?
Pretty good. What you?
Man, it is awesome. It is popping. Let's talk some Titans today, baby. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, Lee, how's your day going, man?
It's been good. A little exhausting.
Yeah, man, definitely, most definitely. I know it's pretty cool weather out today, guys. So we hope you stay warm. Stay healthy, all that fun, good stuff. We're kind of stumbling over our words, but guys, let's get into today's episode. Today's episode is where we will be breaking down the 2026 NFL draft player from the Tennessee Titans. So without further ado, Lee, take us into it, brother.
Well, the big news from the Titans is former president of player personnel, Chad Brinker, resigned earlier this week. And I'm like, that's very peculiar because of the standing that Chad Brinker had by helping Mike Morganzi build this roster. So, Gary, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, man, absolutely. You know, I know when we got Chad Brinker in here into the organization, it was right when we got Rand Carthon in. At first I was feeling iffy on it. I was like, did something happen behind the scenes, like during the draft? Was there a disagreement or something? Which, might have been. But at the end of the day, we just don't know for sure. But I think honestly, when you look at it, he came in here to turn the organization around, get us the right general manager, and hey, at the end of the day, I feel like he's done all that, so I definitely wish him and his family, the best moving forward. Kind of interested to see, where's his next stop. So, how do you feel about it, Lee?
Yeah, so it's very interesting to see what happened, and I hate that it went down the way it did. But everything has to happen for a reason.
Yeah.
Was it that he wasn't getting as much say so as he had, or was there something deeper?
Yeah, I mean, in those situations, I guess, honestly, you really won't know until you know. And yeah, I mean, it could be a handful of things, again, like you were saying, Lee, it could have just been, maybe something happened behind the scenes. Maybe it was just him feeling like, hey, it's time for me to get out of here and, find somewhere where I can have more control, because I feel like, that's kind of what it all entails is, Bergonzi has done so good that, he now has full control over the roster, over all of that. And I feel like, because of that, it's taking away control from Chad Brinker. So he wanted to step down and find, a organization where he might have more control and more say over, what's going on. I'm not sure. It's definitely very interesting. To say the least,
Yeah, very, very much so.
Yeah. Well, guys, with that being said, I want to take real quick to let y'all know that this episode of What's Shakin' Titans is powered by What's Shakin' Sports Media and also powered by Bailey's Barbecue. Bailey's Barbecue, smoking good barbecue. Guys, hop on over to www.doobie.gg. Use code What's Shakin' Titans. Get 10% off your order. Doobie, energy made right, energy made clean. Be better, do Doobie. Then, guys, if you're new to Temu, you can click the link in the description below and get a $100 coupon bundle. Again, click the link in the description below if it's your first time using Temu, and you can get a $100 coupon bundle. Trust me, it really helps. Then, guys, if you are just shopping, you already have a Temu account, you can use code TAN83620 and get 30% off site-wide. Then, guys, with football right around the corner, I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the sports world. You can hop on over to Fanatics, get whatever sport you like, UFC, NBA, golf, whatever it might be. Find your team, find your player. Use code 29SHIP and get free shipping on all U.S. orders over $29. And then with that being said, guys, we got a quick video to show y'all real fast. This video is from the What's Shaking Sports Media company. So, guys, without further ado, let's hit it. All right, guys, there you go. Now, with that being said, I am really excited to announce our newest member. We announced it the first night of the draft episode. Guys, Lee Hillis here runs the 615 podcast, now called the What's Shaking 615 podcast. I'm really excited that he's joined the company of the What's Shaking Sports Media. It allows us to kind of stretch our arms, hit a broader fan base. So, Lee, with that being said, before we really jump into our next topics here, you got anything you want to talk about?
Yeah. So, as Gary's saying, we've decided to combine our brands into a bigger brand, and it's a great opportunity for both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. Really excited to see where this goes, and how we can help each other grow. Most definitely, more so than that, just how we're able to interact with the fans. What's Shaking Sports Media, What's Shaking Titans, and now the What's Shaking 615 podcasts. They're all built for by the fans for the fans. So, guys, right now, let us know in the comments. When did you first start watching us? Is this your first time seeing us? We want to give you a huge shout out, so definitely hit us up in the comments. With that being said, it's time, baby! Let's go, Lee! Let's break down the 2026 Titans draft class. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to bring up this quick graphic real quick. Here we go. These are the first 3 picks from your Tennessee Titans. 2 first rounds and a second round. Coming in at pick 4th overall, you got Carnell Tate. So, Lee, real quick, man, what are some pros and cons when it comes to Carnell Tate?
Well, the first thing looking at tape that stands out to me with Carnell Tate is his athleticism. He can run that double move if he has to. So his athleticism, his speed, and his hands for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when you're talking about his hands, the one thing that I think Rhett Bryan pointed out on their draft show, on their draft coverage on 104.5, he pointed this out, that how most receivers bring the ball into their chest when they catch it. Carnell Tate doesn't. He has his hands out in front, and then he tucks it.
Yeah, Carnell Tate is really gifted. If you watch the draft coverage,
Let's just say Gary and Massey both lost it.
Yeah. As we go further along, Carnell Tate is starting to grow on me. Do I feel like we should have picked him 4th overall? I don't think I will ever be on that level. I think
unless he comes out and has a 1,000-yard season.
Yeah, me and Lee did discuss that. I said if he comes out and has a 1,000-yard season, gives you a reason to say goodbye to Calvin Ridley, then yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think
perfect pick at that spot.
I think Ridley's gone after this year anyway.
But again, at the end of the day, he's got to come out. He's got to produce. I don't think if he pulls in the same numbers he had last year at Ohio State, I personally feel like that would be a no go for me. You got to do more than just 875 yards and what was it, 9 touchdowns. So,
Is either 8 or 9.
yeah. So,
But what if we go out and draft Jeremiah Smith next year, who is the number one wide receiver?
that would be crazy. I will say this though, to everybody's credit, this young man has a lot of room to grow and develop.
And if you were to go back and watch the day after presser with Robert Saleh, Mike Borgonzi, and of course Carnell Tate and Keldrick Falk, Coach Saleh said the same thing. Yeah, they're both early, like how most players nowadays, they're coming out 25, 26 years old. These two men are barely 20. I think Tate just turned 21.
I'm gonna say if I'm correct, they're both 21 years old.
But still, they're both
very
barely
young.
And so, and Coach Saleh said it best. These two young men have a whole lot of room to grow, and the sky's the limit because, as I was saying, like you see a lot of players come out of college nowadays that are 24, 25, 26 years old. But when you can get two players like a Carnell Tate and a Keldrick Falk this early in their career and help develop them along the way, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of his cons, I think that is probably going to be one of the biggest upsides to him is just his young age, the ability to come in, to develop, to grow, to be able to grow with Cam Ward, who is going into his second year. So it's exciting to get to see this process unfold. So I know we're going to have our eyes on it all year long. So definitely stay tuned to What's Shaking Titans because we're going to break it down for you. And then at the end of the year, we're going to give you a regrade of what, based off of how they perform throughout the season. We're going to grade this draft. So we got a grade out there for before the season started. We're going to give you a grade after as well. So, stay tuned for that. But now let's talk about some cons. Malik Neighbors came out and was talking about, he was asked, well, do you feel as if, Carnell Tate, I almost say Cameron Tate, Lord. Carnell Tate was picked, too high. Do you feel like it was a good pick for him? He said absolutely too high. He feels like in order for a team to draft a wide receiver to be your number one wide receiver, then he should have to play at the number one wide receiver position at some point and win that spot, So of course I'm not gonna bash Malik Neighbors, but I think there is some solidity to what he is saying there. Not saying he don't have the ability to become that.
Definitely.
Yeah, but I'm thinking that is one of the cons he has coming in. The second con I have for him is, you just ain't really seen that production number side of his game. Again, you're talking about a really high powered offense that he's coming from, that was consistently running up the scoreboard, but he really wasn't a part of that too much. So that could be a con towards him as well.
I also think he missed like 4 games last year.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. So,
So I believe had he not missed those 4 games, he's probably 1,000-yard wide receiver last year.
Either 1,000 or right under it. But I mean, even with that being said, if you go back to his other 2 years, his numbers have steadily climbed, but it hasn't been like,
and I
boom.
I think what the Titans drafted on this year, especially with like a Carnell Tate and a Keldrick Falk, who we're getting to next, I truly believe they're drafting on upside.
Yeah. And I think, for me, when it comes to picking at least in the top 5 or 6 of the first round, I don't think you want to draft off of potential upside, because we don't know what we don't know. And what we don't know is what's going to happen in this year. Is he going to come
Well,
out and ball out? We don't know. We can't tell you if he's going to come out here and be another Traylon Burks. We can't tell you if he's going to come out here and ball out and be the next AJ Brown for the Tennessee Titans organization. Like, you don't know that. So when you're drafting off a potential that, for what did I say? Projected potential, it's it's hard for me to want to pick someone that high that is just pure projection. Now I get it. We had to address a need on offense. We had to get Cameron Ward, targets. We had to give him some weapons. Of course, Bub was out of there, so the next best option was Carnell Tate. So I'm,
yeah, or Jordan Tyson, who was listed as the number one wide receiver.
yeah,
And so I want to bring this out. We're talking about his coaching staff, the coaching staff there at Ohio State that was coaching him. Well, if you look at who his offensive coordinator was and his wide receivers coach was a former NFL wide receiver who played with a former Titans quarterback by the name of Mr. Ryan Tannehill. And that guy, his name is Brian Hartline. And if you look at the previous wide receivers that came out of Ohio State, Emeka Egbuka, last year Tampa, I think it was like 20s. You have JSN, Super Bowl champion JSN. You also have Marvin Harrison Jr. You have three guys right there on different ends of the receiving spectrum.
Yeah, you really do. You do have completely different ends of the spectrum there. So I agree with that. Ultimately, do I think Carnell Tate is going to come in and benefit this offense? Yes, I do. Even if it's not a 1,000-yard season, is it going to benefit the offense? Yes, because it gives Cam Ward another reliable target down the field. Now, with that being said, again, there's just so many unknowns. But Lee, let's hop on to the other first round draft pick that we have. So coming in,
Keldrick Falk.
Yep, with the 31st overall pick, Keldrick Falk. Lee, what are the pros about Keldrick Falk?
Well, I think Coach Salas said it best. Keldrick Falk is a guy you can line up on the edge on the early downs, like first and second down. You can line him up outside. But on third down, when you really want to push that pocket up the middle, you can take and slide him back inside and put a guy like a Femi Oladejo on the outside and push that pocket.
Yeah, you definitely want to be able to push the pocket. You want to be able to get quarterback pressures, quarterback sacks. I mean, all these are very vital to the defense, and especially the Titans defense, where the only, sacks that's...
Yeah. It's been really good over the last few years.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, at edge position, who have we had? I mean, actually get
Jermaine Johnson, Femi Oladejo.
Not now. Hill. I'm talking about
last
year and the year before. Like, the only person who was really getting pressure on the quarterback was Big Jeff.
Up the middle, yeah.
And Jeff was wrecking it. So now you got you a piece potentially that can, help collapse that pocket by bringing pressure off the edge. I like it. I think it's going to be a really fun to watch, And
another big pro for me when it comes to Falk is he's played against some really good competition there in the SEC. He's played Alabama the last 3 years. He just played in probably, in my opinion, one of the hardest stadiums all of the SEC in College Station.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, now that you talked about the pros, let's kind of talk about the cons for a second. Because
for me, one of the big cons with him is the lack of production.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly where I was going to go. You
Like
know,
he was like he did not produce that well at the SEC level.
yeah. You look at his lack of production. I mean, he had so many quarterback pressures that just did not turn into sacks. It was like he was always one or two steps behind where he needed to be. A lot of people feel like maybe that was a reach on him, but again, this kid is 21 years old. So he definitely has room to improve. And then you put him with Robert Sala, who has,
Is the
proven,
defensive who's a defensive whisperer.
yeah, and definitely
Like
has a lot of gifts, developing edges and defensive
like
lines like crazy. So, um,
he's he's taken like a sixth round linebacker and made him look like an all pro.
absolutely.
And like guys like I've heard like Eric Armstead is who he reminds a lot of people of. There was another guy that he coached in San Francisco. Wasn't Dre Greenlaw, who was a late round draft pick,
Yeah.
who ended up being a stud. Um, why is my mind going blank? I hate.
Well, while you think of that, another thing that I feel like he, is a con for him, his footwork. That is really big and one of the key parts when it comes to playing the edge position. I feel like a lot of the reason the sacks are getting away from him, if you go back and watch some of his, footage, there's a lot of times where he's not taking a big enough stride, when he's trying to break the corners. And then the
Well,
other times he's taking too big of a stride. So he's got to get it nailed down to where it's just right. Um, you know,
yeah,
I feel like right now that is a con, but that is something that is coachable. So, but right
and
now coming into the
that's what he's
season, that
good
is definitely a con. And what were you saying?
at. But let's talk to the pros for a second on him.
Okay.
He's big. He's like 6'6", 279.
Talk about it.
Like, but so like his length is massive. His frame is massive. The good thing about him is if he's come off that edge and the quarterback's throwing outside, he can get his hand up and knock it away.
Oh yeah, real quick. He has some quick hands. That's one thing I will say about him. For a defensive lineman, an edge, he got some quick hands. It reminds me, of one Brian Arakpo. The way he can
And that
swipe
was
with his hands.
and that was a nice piece to have
Yeah.
back then.
So let's hope that he can turn into something like that for the Titans, because I've said it from day one when we got Big Jeff. I said, oh man, how nice would it have been if Brian Arakpo was still playing for the Tennessee Titans? Ooh, man.
That'd
Well,
been filthy.
oh, very filthy, bro. With that being said, we got a linebacker, Lee. We got, with the 60th overall pick in the second round, linebacker Anthony Hill Jr. So, Lee, talk about it, baby.
So Anthony Hill Jr., linebacker out of the University of Texas, was a thriller through his 3 years in college. He was a five-star recruit, I think like the number 3 player in the country when he came out of high school there in Denton, Texas. And he was originally committed to A&M, but the big thing is his stats throughout the 3 years. 250 tackles, 20 tackles for loss, and from the inside linebacker position, 17 career sacks.
Man, absolutely a beast. I think
Even though I hate the team he played
I'm playing. Anyway,
for.
yeah, for me, I absolutely loved, with a capital L, this pick. This was the first pick in this draft where I was like, wow, the Titans didn't reach back in talent to get somebody. They actually got a heck of a deal. If you go back and you look at our top 121 prospects coming into the draft, he was way up there. I think he was like in the top 20s. And, for him to fall into the second round right in our laps, absolutely love this pick. I think it's perfect for the Titans. You get you depth piece here, so this is going to allow you to build depth. It's going to allow you to be able to rotate and keep the players fresh. Huge, 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 huge plus for the Titans defense.
Don't make me turn into Donald Trump. That was a huge move.
So, yeah, I think at the end of the day, it was a great pick by the Titans getting Anthony Hill Jr. there with the 60th overall pick. I really have nothing bad to say about that pick. Of course, I would say cons for him. If he can develop his hands a little bit better, I think he's going to be able to be more defined and playing linebacker. I think that was really the only thing I could see from him. Lee, do you have any cons for Anthony Hill?
So Anthony Hill Jr., I don't really have anything that I did not like about him on tape. The thing that I do want to bring up, so Wes Wisely put this out today, and so he put out, this was 6 hours ago, excited to see what Robert Saleh can do with rookie linebacker Anthony Hill Jr., who wore the green dot at Tech as a sophomore and junior at Texas. He can be deployed as an edge rusher in sub packages. Excellent sideline to sideline range. Hill studied Bobby Wagner's game throughout his career and was comped to be a comparison to Bobby Wagner by NFL.com, his draft profile. So Anthony Hill Jr. could end up being the steal in the late second round. He has all the tools to become an exceptional NFL linebacker.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we're talking about the 60th overall pick, linebacker Anthony Hill. Again, I love this pick. I have nothing bad to say. And if he can actually develop to be,
sort of like
a Bobby Wagner, I mean, how big would that be for the Titans ultimately?
So one thing I do want to go through is Mel Kiper's rankings on these players.
Yeah, absolutely. Break it down for us, man.
So Mel Kiper had Carnell Tate ranked as the 8th best player in this draft.
Talk about it.
Second or third best offensive player behind Fernando Mendoza, who went number 1.
Yep.
And then Jeremiah Love, who went 3.
Yep.
And then you have to go down to the early to mid 20s to find new Titans edge rusher Keldrick Falk, who was rated as the 26th best player in this draft class, was drafted at 31. Then you have to go down to the late 50s to find this next guy, Anthony Hill Jr., who was the 58th ranked player in this draft class.
Yeah, most definitely.
So the way I look at it, the one that was a semi-reach was Carnell Tate, and then I want to say the running back that we drafted, which we'll get to here in a little bit.
Yeah. Well, the reason, if you go back and watch episode 3, when I kind of revealed all of our grades, I had a C-, and part of the C- was the fact that for me, I felt like we had a lot of reaches. Carnell Tate was a reach for me at 4. And how I came across this, again, you can, I'll repeat it now, but you can go back and get the full in-depth breakdown from episode 3. But basically what I did is I took the list of top prospects and where we're picking at. And then if that aligned or came within 2 or 3 spots, then it got a positive grade. If, however, it didn't, then, it got a negative grade for me. So Cardinal Tate got a negative grade for me. Falk, on my personal list, I had him a lot lower than 31st. Only because, the struggle he had producing numbers. Now, that is coachable.
Yeah.
But I felt like that was a bit of a reach for me. Of course, Anthony Hill was the first positive grade we got. And then when we get into, some of our later picks, that's where it started trending downhill for me there.
Once you get past, I want to say, the middle part of round 4 is where you really start getting to like special teams or depth players.
Yeah. And
or even more practice squad.
Yeah. And, when we got this running back, that was a huge reach back for me. I think he's going to be good. Don't sleep on him. I think is what
I was going to say is go back and look at last year's draft. Cedric Gray, linebacker that we drafted last year, was a 4th round pick. The dude was a stud for us last year. I think he was like our highest leading tackler last year on this Titans roster. And he was a 4th round pick.
Then again, look at all the hiccups we had on this roster last year, plus coaching issues. It was crazy.
But defensively, if you take the secondary out of it, everything from the defensive line to the linebackers was consistent across the board because that didn't really change.
Yeah and no. Yes, and I can see where you're coming from and trying to say it was consistent. No, as well as saying it was consistent. When we lost Big Jeff, it was definitely a gap. You could tell a big difference. And you look at the scoreboard for Titans and you're like, oh, you really can't tell they got their butts whooped all year long. Yes, that is very much true. But if you watch the game, play in and play out, when we lost Big Jeff, we lost momentum on that defense that kept us in these games and kept us highly competitive. Now, once he came back...
Whenever Jeff would come out of games, you'd be able to tell.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Like, if it was like 3rd and 2 and Jeff was not out there, I was like, just going to get my first down.
Right.
They were picking up every time.
Yep. Now, I agree, but yeah, my grade was a C- for the overall draft, and again, it was because I felt like there was a lot of reaches. I think there's only one player that wasn't a reach for me. Again, that was Anthony Hill Jr. So,
for me, and y'all can go back and look at this. I said A-, because I feel like we got some places that we needed help at. Yeah, definite help, like the guard from Arkansas, Fernando Carmona, who we'll get to in the next part of the segment. Yeah. Pat Coogan, the center from Indiana. Yeah. And if you were going to look at my Instagram, I'll try to go find it, because I think it was from Barstool. It was him giving the speech before the national championship when he was at Notre Dame.
Oh, he's high energy. He's like another Lawan, high energy. Yeah.
But I'm saying don't sleep on him or Carmona, because those two guys could make it as potential backups for this roster this year.
Oh, yeah. I said it in our last video. The guard and the center, at best this year are going to be backups, at worst, if they get bumped up to starters, it's only because your starters have went down with an injury. That is the only way that's going to happen.
And Coogan last year, I think he was a big part of that offensive line at Indiana. Yeah. Because, and I hate to bring up Coach Mack quote, if you can ever get that guard center triangle figured out, you'll be okay.
Look, Lee, as long as you don't start talking about them Ole hips again, we're good. But yeah, the Ole hips. So guys, with that being said, you can definitely go back, check out episode 3. I think to kind of cap before we go to, break real fast. To kind of cap on what Lee was saying, I think when Lee gave his grade, he kind of went off of what the Titans' need was versus where the player was on that list. And if you go that way, then yeah, I get it. It gets a higher grade. But the way I did it was overall, best player available.
Yeah.
And what pick number. So that is where you get the big difference between, Lee's grade and my grade. But I think overall we had a C plus from all 8 people we had on our team.
Which was the same grade that I think Mel Kiper had.
Mel Kiper had, exactly. So, I feel like we hit that right on the head as a team. But guys, with that being said, I want to take the time to let y'all know that this episode of What's Shaking Titans is powered by What's Shaking Sports Media. And also powered by Bailey's Barbecue. Bailey's Barbecue, smoking good barbecue. Guys, you can hop on to the What's Shaking Titans website page. You can find links to that on our Facebook and X. You can check out the latest articles, as well as get more information on What's Shaking Sports Media, which is the company that we all work for. With that being said, guys, hop on over to www.doobie.gg. Use code What's Shaking Titans. Get 10% off your order. Doobie, energy made right, energy made better. Be better, Doobie. Guys, hop on over to Temu. Use code TAN83620. Get 30% off site-wide. Guys, if you're new to Temu, you can click the link in the description below and receive a $100 coupon bundle. Then, guys, with sports in full swing right now, it is the perfect time to get your favorite merch from your favorite teams. Hop on over to Fanatics, guys. Use code 29SHIP and get free shipping on all U.S. orders over $29. And then with that being said, guys, I'm going to go into this quick promotional video. Again, huge shout out to the What's Shaking 615 podcast. But let's hit it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to What's Shaking Titans. Guys, I am the host, Gary Bailey, and then joining me right over here, you got your co-host, none other than Lee, the Man Hillis. Also, host of What's Shaking 615 podcast. Hi. So, guys, with that being said, what we're going to do is we're going to show you this list of top 3 draft picks again. And then we're going to go ahead and bring up the rest of the draft picks, and we're going to plow through them. We're going to give you pros and cons and let you know our thoughts. So without further ado, let's hit it. So, again, 4th overall, we went wide receiver Cornell Tate. 31st overall, we went Keldrick Falk. And then 60th overall, we went linebacker Anthony Hill Jr. So, guys, I definitely like those picks there. Definitely great picks by the Titans organization by far. So here we go. Here are the rest of the orders. And coming in at the 422nd overall pick, you got guard Fernando Carmona. Lee.
I mean, 122nd?
142nd, yeah.
Yeah.
So Lee, take it away.
Guard Fernando Carmona, out of Arkansas. great player, physical, and just like what I said with Anthony Hill, played in one of the best conferences in all of college football, in the SEC. So he's played also in some very hard games, and he had a mobile quarterback. So in Taylon Green, they're at Arkansas, so he knows how to block for a mobile quarterback. He was not ranked in the top 130 of Mel Kiper, but he was ranked 19th at his position.
Yeah, I think that's a huge point there. Um, I want to really dive in just head first to, the biggest con I personally have for this young buck here. One of the biggest issues I have with him being, is his I'm sorry. So one of the biggest issues I have with him is, he's really struggles keeping weight. So his weight will fluctuate up and down throughout the year. And then the biggest of all issues is his hand placement. My nephew Noah, shout out to him, Noah Cersei, also another host here at What's Shaking Titans. He plays center in high school, really good at it. Really proud of the development that he's come through. But, he'll tell you right off the rip, it don't matter what position you play on that offensive line, but the number one most important trait any wide receiver can have is going to be their hands. Your hand placement, your swipes, all of that. You can't struggle with that. If you struggle with that, it is going to show. So this is one of my biggest cons about, the guard we got here. Lee, what are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree. Just from watching tape, the one thing that you have to do is you have to keep your hands right in here.
Yep.
If you get out here, you're going to get flagged every single time.
Yep. Or not even being able to get your hands on the inside period and then getting ran right through. I mean,
unless, you won't get flagged unless you'll get flagged unless you're the Kansas City Chiefs.
Lee, don't go there. That's for another show, Lee.
But
that's for another 4-hour show.
The thing about Carmona not being able to keep weight, I think it had a lot to do with the program he was at.
Okay, talk about it.
Arkansas, their players are looked at that. Some of their players, a lot of their offensive linemen have problem keeping weight. So I feel like once he gets into the league, gets into a great program or a great eating program and a great weight program, then you'll start seeing that weight level off.
Yeah, for me though, I think you're bringing up a good point, but I don't think it's so much the program at Arkansas as it is. Have you ever been to Arkansas, Lee?
I have not.
Okay, so good. Let me take this one from here. All right, so I actually lived in Arkansas for about a year and a half with my my older sister, Noah's mom. Stayed down there for a while. It was an awesome time. But if you go to Arkansas, there's a major difference in the weather between Tennessee and Arkansas. Now I know you're like, wait a second, they're neighbors. They might be neighbors, but there's a major difference. It is always humid. So humid it is hard to breathe. Even me, getting out there throwing the pigskin around with my nephews, it was like, wow, this is, it was more difficult. It took a lot more it took a lot more strength. Where versus if I get out here in Tennessee and I sling the rock around, it's no problem. So that whole thing of altitude or where you're playing, does it have an effect? 100%. If you're a big guy and you got to keep a certain weight, it's going to be hard to keep that weight, and especially when you're playing in somewhere like Arkansas, where the humidity is just ridiculous all the time. So yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it. I wouldn't so much say as, it's their overall dietary program that they have, but I would say that it's more so of, you get out there and you second you step outside, you're drenched in sweat. Like, I'm not exaggerating that one bit. You know,
Yeah.
and
I
then
feel
if you
like
ever
what-
drive on the interstate, you're gonna lose weight instantly because can't nobody drive down there. So
So I feel like once he fully gets entrenched into what the Titans do, he'll be okay.
yeah, you know, again, I think this is going to be a solid backup piece. I don't think he's going to be a starter. I think he's going to be a solid backup piece for sure. You
And
know,
for me, and this is for a completely different show, but I feel like, and I'm going to tell you who I think our starting right guard is, and it's Jackson Slater,
yeah.
who came in last year.
Maybe we can break that down on, you know, on our next episode, episode 5. We'll
After schedule,
yeah, we'll project who you know, who's going to be, who do we see
our
being our
starter.
starters. Yeah. But with that being said, let's go into our next pick. This is where I felt like, wow, what are we doing here? This makes no sense. But
And
with
what pick was this?
this was the 165th overall pick. We got running back Nicholas Singleton.
Can I take this one for a sec?
Go right ahead, bro.
So looking at Mel Kiper's top 130, he had Singleton ranked at 126. So in my opinion, this was not as big of a reach as what most people think, just based on where he was ranked in the top 130. And being taken, what was it, 165?
Yeah, 165. And you know, when
Yeah,
it came
I
to
think-
our ranking, which we only posted the top 121s, but when I did all the way to, I think I went to 400, and he was actually at like 179 for me.
So he was right there, right over where he was picked.
Yeah, but again, you know, for me to give him a positive grade on how I was grading, he had to be, you know, three picks,
Three above or
three below, three above, you know, and he was, you know, he had just missed that
like
three
14.
below. Yeah. So, but still, I think my biggest issue wasn't the fact that, you know, we went running back. It was the fact that we had the opportunity to maybe trade the 2 picks,
Pick
you
one.
know, the pick, trade pick 142 and pick 165, move back up and get you someone that, you know, a guard or a center that could actually potentially, you know, start, you know, because right now we just don't have that. But again, I couldn't really grade off of that because that's going what? Need over everything else. And I was grading off of best player available. Now, let's talk about this young buck for a second, because a lot of people are comparing him to one Saquon Barkley, you know.
Well, and I'm going to tell you why they're comparing him to Saquon. He broke a lot of Saquon's records at Penn State. He had his like 55, like close to 5,600 yards in his career rushing. He had like 40 something touchdowns in like 2 or 3 years. So if that really tells you something, I think that right there makes, in my honest to God opinion, that makes a 3-way battle for that second running back spot between him, Tajay Spears, and Michael Carter.
Yeah, for me though, I have to completely disagree with that. You know, I think he's going to be your running back 3. You know, I think it is. You got Pollard, you got Tajay, and then you got Singleton.
Michael.
I
think Carter makes this roster because I don't think he got a fair shake in Arizona.
I don't know, man. I just don't see it. But who knows? You know, that is the unknown. But when you look at Singleton and you look at the Titans history.
Don't forget, we also kept Julius Chestnut.
Yeah. So, you know, let me get back to this though, because if you look throughout Titans history, even when we drafted Derrick Henry, what happened to Derrick Henry? He was
He set.
The first year, the only time you seen him play was when preseason. Outside of that, And he
He
lit it
was,
up in preseason. That I remember his first catch, or his first run. Man, he was running back and forth across the field. Like I mean, I was just like, whoa. But put that aside, guys. Why do you sit a running back when you draft them for 1 or 2, even 3 years? Because you're
because
saving thread, so you have this player for the longevity of their career
the
versus
life the lifespan of a running back in the NFL is like 5 years.
unless you.
You're Derrick Henry.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't even say that because you look at Adrian Peterson, you got Derrick Henry, all your big time running backs. They came in, they set, they developed, and then they still had a longevity
And
career.
I think if you let Singleton sit a couple of years, he could be your starter going into his third year.
Yeah, or maybe you let him sit because, and this is huge because what did I say on our draft day special? You don't draft a running back that high up unless you already have an offensive line in play to really protect and open up those holes. Otherwise, you're going to get your quarterback hurt, you're going to get your running back hurt, and it's going to be a really, really, really crappy season.
Yeah.
So, yeah, with that being said, I really don't have no cons other than, I just feel like that was a reach for me. I know some people don't feel that way. But with that being said, Lee, let's hop into our next pick here. With the 184th overall pick, the Titans select defensive tackle Jackie Marshall. Now, I'm going to take this one real quick. I did not like this pick. I did not. I like the running back pick more than I like this pick. I did not like this pick at all. I get you're trying to build depth here, but I did not like that. I feel like we have solid depth already on our defense. This is a opportunity to where you could have gone and got you a better rated tight end than what we got. I was not happy with it 1%. Do I think this guy is going to develop into something? I think this guy will be a good depth piece for his Titans career.
Or special teams.
Yeah, or special teams. But I do not see him, other than special teams or depth piece, I just don't see it. I feel like this was a complete waste.
I completely agree.
A complete waste of a pick. So
I completely agree.
Yeah. I don't have, I wish I had a bunch of good stuff to say because I don't like being Debbie Downer all the time. But I really, guys, like, I have nothing I can say about this pick other than this was a headbanger for me. I was cooking because this was on my birthday. I was cooking and I remember texting you, Lee, and I was just like, you gotta be bleeping kidding me. It just made no sense whatsoever.
If you go look at Mel Kiper's top 130, he was not ranked in the top 130, but he was number 33 on the defensive tackle list.
Yeah, and again, I feel like why go defensive tackle when you already have that depth there?
With John Franklin Myers as your starter next to Jeff, and then
like you got your depth pieces. Like, come on, like we got so many other. I wouldn't have cared if you went another guard or center. I really wouldn't. I really would. I would have rather them go guard and center again, than go another defensive tackle. I'm sorry, that's just
Like if you look at this draft, it's very offensive heavy for the Titans draft because you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 offensive positions, and you only went defensive 3 times with Falk, Marshall, and Anthony Hill. Those were your only 3 defensive players in this draft class that you went.
Yeah.
So I had my suspicions. coming into this draft when we went pretty defensive heavy in free agency. I had my suspicions that we were going to go pretty offensive heavy.
And we did. We and I'm glad we did, but here picking a defensive tackle, I mean, especially where we picked him at, like, I mean, at that point, why are you picking him? Go get something that, can actually compete for a potential role at a backup or, maybe a future starting role, because right now we got starters at every single position except for right guard and center, in my opinion.
And I'm very excited for this next player.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. So
Pick
with
195.
194, pick with the 194th overall pick.
Titans go center, Pat Coogan out of Indiana, the national champion winning center, who played in not one national championship, but two in his college career. 2024 at Notre Dame. And as I was saying earlier, if you were to go back and maybe I'll find it and post it again later, is his speech against I think it was a national championship game when he was at Notre Dame. If that speech almost made me want to run through a brick wall.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
because
he
that's who he is.
His energy from that video reminded me a lot of Taylor Lewan. That's the one thing I do like about him. But Lee, can you go over the pros and cons of his game real quick?
Well, the pro of his game is he's efficient. He's like I think he's in like 3 or 4 years. I think he's probably missed 3 or 4 games. So he's there every single game. He's consistent. He's always active, and I think I've heard someone say this before. The best ability is availability. If you're going to be there and you're going to be consistent, you're the best thing that you can do is be there and be available. And even if he's the backup, the best thing he can be is available. And the cons for me, he wasn't the best center on the board. He wasn't even ranked in Mel Kiper's top 130, but he was the number 11 center in this draft class. Yeah. And all the other centers had went before him.
Yeah. Well,
so at that point, he was the best offensive lineman available at that position.
And this again is why I'm so mad about the pick right before him. Now, with that being said, I'm going to go over my list of cons for him, his weaknesses, things that I think are very, 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 very huge, especially at playing a center, because a center is the heartbeat of the offensive line. And the offensive line is the backbone of your offense. Without a good offensive line, you're not going to do good. And without that heartbeat pumping blood, the rest of the extremities, you got nothing, So let me go over this real quick. One of the biggest things that I don't like about his game is his anchor gives away against powerful bull rushes. In other words, if you had a big Jeff rushing in on the inside of him, he's going to give away.
He's
done. Exactly.
He gone.
When it comes to pass sets, his forward-leaning pass sets invites counters. So the way he does it, it gives opportunity for, defensive rushers.
Back inside.
Exactly, Lee, 100%. Below average second level adjustments, in other words, when he hits that second level, it is hard for this man to make those adjustments to be able to, sustain holes for the running game. It's something that is really, really huge. And then one other thing I do wanna say, this is his biggest weakness for me. And again, it goes back to what we talked about earlier: hand placement. he struggles finding landmarks in the outside zone. So in other words, he struggles finding, where to land his hands when it comes to an outside zone, by the defense. And that is something like you have to be on point with. You cannot protect the quarterback. You cannot open up running lanes if you struggle with your hands. It's just, it won't happen. Lee, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Let me go see if I can find this. I think I screenshotted it. Took a screenshot of it.
You did.
So the overview of Pat Coogan. Coogan is a veteran center with great size, or with good size, intelligence, communication skills, and leadership that will appeal to an offensive line coach. He's technically sound and is consistent in centering opponents while latching in with grip strength to increase stickiness. He's best in a gap scheme and inside zone, but his effectiveness can fade when the job stretches beyond the A gap in protection. He lands well-timed punches and utilizes instinctive hand resets to regain positioning. However, forward lean and short arms will invite counters. Coogan has the potential to become a starter, but there are limitations in his game that make scheme fit and protection help important. But his strength, hip dips and drives through down block targets, keeps his hands tight, providing added control at the point. He stays square with his eyes to the linebacker on workup blocks. He slides his hips into place to secure on ace blocks, uses independent hands with good timing and pop, gets reset quickly to help regain hip positioning, and his base width never changes when mirroring.
Yeah, 100%. I think with him, he's going to need a lot of development. He is definitely a surefire backup. He has a lot to offer, but having stuff to offer, doesn't guarantee you a starting role.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see if Brian Duval can help him develop into a potential starter one day, And I really want to be careful with what I'm saying here, but I think, you're talking potential, period. I think facts of the matter is he is, a second string, for a good chunk, 3 to 4 years. Will he become a starter for the Titans? I don't know. It depends on how quickly he can develop under this Brian Daboll offense. But with that being said, Lee, let's go ahead and tap into our last pick here with
Jaron Kanak.
That's right, with pick 220, or with the 225th overall pick, Jaron. You say his last name because I ain't even going to say it.
Jaron Kanak.
Kanak.
From Oklahoma.
Yeah, I always call it Kank, but Kanak.
The thing that I like about him is the dude is a former linebacker.
Yeah. So he knows how to read the defense, and I think that is good for a tight end. I mean, really, that's good for any offensive player. But, especially a skill player like a tight end, a wide receiver, a running back, of course, quarterback. But
it wasn't good for Caleb Farley because he came in as a wide receiver.
Lee, why you got to do it to the man, Lee? Why you got to do it to him, Lee? He can't help it, Lee. He had a broken back. Daggum. Lee over here taking shots. Pow! Man.
Caleb Farley came to college as a wide receiver, transitioning to corner. Gary's over here dying, laughing. Hey, it's not as bad as the old hip comment the other night.
Don't you do it to me, Lee. Don't do
But
it.
as you said, it's really good for skill position players to be able to read what a corner's going to do or what a linebacker.
He just don't have them oily hips yet, Lee.
But I think if Kanak does stick on this roster, it's basically as a special team and a depth piece. Like if you decide, hey, you're going to go three wide, you're going to go Helm, Bellinger, and maybe Kanak, maybe at tight end. If you decide to go 13 personnel.
Pick me, coach. Pick me. So, honestly, I know a lot of people are not going to like what I'm about to say. But I think he is going to be a special teams player.
And that's the only reason he'd make this roster.
And I don't think we're going to see that much of Cameron DK on. I think we're going to see him towards the start of the year, but I think you're going to make that transition so Cameron DK has the opportunity to battle it out with Wandell for that true wide receiver X position, you know.
Or that slot.
Yeah.
That Y.
Yeah. What I say? X. Yeah. Y. Sorry, I said that backwards.
Because
y.
you got X, Z,
X.
Y.
You got X, Y, Z. X, Y, Z. Yeah.
But if you run a 2x2 set, you got X, H, Y, Z.
Yeah. So I definitely, you know, I think he'd be good at that. You know, he has some speed to him. That is the one thing I will say is a pro about him is he has a lot of speed to him. Now, cons, you know, big con is this is not a guy that is going to come out and be playing on offense as a starter or a second stream or even a third stream tight end. You know, that is a con. Why is that a con? Well, because that just means that it's taking away from a roster spot that can go to somewhere else. You know, you're only allowed 50, I think 52 throughout the season. 53 throughout the season. And then, you know, you get the emergency quarterback now. So, yeah, well, I don't know.
The greatest thing is you only get 14 or 46 going into a game. So before we get to the last segment of this, so rookie minicamp started today, or at the time this recording is today. The rookie minicamp consisted of the 8 drafted players, 11 undrafted, 5 veterans, and 58 tryout invitees.
Bam! He went there. Oh, man. Talk about it, Lee.
So,
Lee, did they even take the field, Lee?
So, basically, it was just based like a workout today to get them somewhat familiar with how things are going to run. So, the 5 veterans that participated, Xavier Restrepo.
Yep.
Keydrain Callaghan.
Yeah, I'm not even going to attempt it.
Corner.
Lee, you are now the official name announcer for the What's Shaking Titans podcast.
David Abuka Agoa, who's an international player, defensive end. Hal Presley III at wide receiver, and Joel Wilson at tight end. So, and of course, all 5 of these players are fighting for roster spots or practice squad. So, I think it's really good that a guy like an Xavier Restrepo is out there.
Yeah. I think, I mean, Xavier, hands down, got a roster spot this year. I don't care what anybody says. Like,
so, of course, they announced the jersey numbers for all the rookies.
Yeah.
Should we go through this real quick?
Yeah, but we got to make it really quick.
Wide receiver Carnell Tate will wear number 14. Keldrick Falk will wear 15, which is the number he wore at Auburn.
Let's go!
Anthony Hill Jr. is getting a legendary number 53.
Bam! How long has it been, Lee? How long has it been?
Whew.
Test your knowledge here.
Probably 15, 16 years.
Okay.
Fernando Carmona will wear number 66. Nicholas Singleton will wear number 32. Tell me the last Titans running back that wore 32. Without looking it up. Because I can tell you this.
I
can
know
tell you
his
this.
name. It was, oh my goodness, the running back with Derrick Henry.
No. It's been more recent than that.
Who?
Can I tell you?
Who?
Tajay Spears, his rookie
year, 33. That's right, because he swapped to 2.
Defensive
How
tackle.
mad? Hold up. How mad do you think Derrick Henry is?
Defensive tackle Jackie Marshall will wear number 96.
Mm-hmm.
Pat Coogan will wear 79, and Jaron Kanak will be wearing 47. All of these are subject to change before the start of the season, depending on what happens after cuts.
Yeah. Well, so guys, really excited to see this, transpire over the next few months. It is a great time to be a fan of sports in general. I mean, it is full swing. I love it. It gives us all kinds of stuff to talk about here. But guys, we're going to hop into our last segment. We're going to make this quick. Lee, we're both going to pick one player, and we're going to give our way too early predictions for that player. So, Lee, you go first, man.
Oh. I got a few places I could go.
I know where you're going. I just know.
Tell me.
You're going to go Cardinal Tate.
He's one of them I could go with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I've also got Pat Coogan I could go with. And I could also go Anthony Hill.
Well, pick one, Lee. Let's hear your way too early prediction. I mean, now I think if you go Pat Coogan for a way too early prediction for this year, you are firing a hot take, bro. It will be the first hot take of season 5 of What's Shaking Titans. So let's see which way he goes.
I'm going to take Pat Coogan.
Bam! Oh, man.
And
This just in. We got a hot take inbound.
And here's what the hot take is. Nobody, you will probably go shave your head if this happens. I believe Pat Coogan will be the day one starter at center. He's like, time out.
Woo! Lee, that is a hot take, bro. I am glad you, my friend, are not on the coaching staff right now because your butt would be on the hot seat. I wish I had something I could just watch. Y'all watch. Yeah. All right. Wow. That is a hot take, bro. I like it. Okay. I'm going to go bold 2. I'm going to go with our second first round pick.
Keldrick
Falk. I think Keldrick Falk is going to be productive under Robert Saleh, our head coach. And okay. I'm going to go, he has anywhere in the range of 8 to 9 sacks. 7 to 9 sacks. That is my prediction. What do you think, Lee?
I could see that.
I think
because if you look at Saleh's track record. He is known for producing defensive on edge or interior, and even at linebacker. So I could have the other guy that I could have went with is Anthony Hill.
Yeah. Well, the reason I went with him is you got a young player here who is clearly very extremely talented.
Yep.
But that is not the key. Who are the two people you got on the inside, Lee?
Jeffrey Simmons and Jonathan Myers.
And what's going to happen if you have both of them on the field at the same time?
They're going to open up that edge.
They are going to open up that edge because why? Who's going to be double teamed?
Both of them.
Exactly.
And then don't forget you have Jermaine Johnson on the opposite end.
Exactly. So I think this is going to produce, this is going to fix all of that lack of production for him. Is having, key pieces playing beside him. I'm all about it. Now, I could have easily went Carnell Tate. I think that is what a lot of people wanted to hear. But I think that, when you're talking about who's going to be most productive for us this year, I think it's going to be Keldrick Folk. And I think that, out of the draft class, I'm not talking about the whole entire team, but just out of the draft alone, I think he's going to be the most productive. And the reason I went with him versus Carnell Tate is because you got Calvin Ridley, who is a, former 1,000-yard rushing receiver when he's healthy, not hurt. And he's coming off of a year where he's been hurt. So, I believe he's going to stay healthy this year. He already has that chemistry developed with Cam Ward, where Tate is going to have to work on that and develop that. I think you got a Wandale who is going to be, very a very big piece. And you also got Cameron DK. Both of them are going to be able to play the slot game, which is going to open you up underneath, But I think it's going to be Calvin Ridley that really takes the bulk of the numbers this year. That is my bold prediction. So, yeah, guys. I mean, with that being said, let us know what your thoughts are in the comments below. We definitely appreciate y'all for taking the time to watch us today. As always, we love you guys. Peace out and tighten up.